boys and girls. Today we're going to talk about learning dialogue. We're going to discuss non-stop dialogue, and that's too much, rules for great dialogue in your story, punctuating your dialogue, and then there is a story attached that you can check out. So it has blah, 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 blah behind it, and that is absolutely not what we want to do in our story. Non-stop dialogue is too much dialogue. The reader will start hearing blah, 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 blah. So here's an example. Hi, said Fred. Hello, said Steve. I see you have a dog with you. Well, yes, I do, Steve replied. What are you doing today? Asked Fred. So there's a caution sign right here. There's a no sign right there, and there's a sleeping person right here. This is not what we want to do, friends. This kind of dialogue is the dialogue that is nonstop. Every single line is filled with talking, and that's not what we want to do. That is going to put our readers to sleep, and it does not move our story along. So avoid this, please. There are some rules for dialogue that will help you do some interesting and will add to your story, interesting dialogue and add to your story. So the first one is never say the obvious. Here's an example. Joy said, I was at the park too. There were slides, swings, and monkey bars. Now this does add more to your story, but we all know what was at the park and it's unnecessary dialogue. So use descriptions in your story. Use descriptions to make the setting come alive to us. Don't do it in dialogue. Skip the meet and greet like I just did with hi, hello there. That's unnecessary dialogue. Number 3 is what you should do. So when characters speak, something should be happening. There should be a reason for the dialogue. The plot should be progressing. It should move your action forward. It's a way to move your action forward. So here's an example. Tim screamed, "You stole the purple pens!" As he marched over to Lucy, she folded her arms. So this is exciting. This is something that is intriguing in our story, has a purpose, and also moves the story along. Another reason to use dialogue is to reveal a character's personality. Lisa criticized, "Did you see that girl's ugly dress? I would never wear that." That says something about Lisa's character, doesn't it? And we've talked before about how character traits are revealed by what people say, what other people say about them, and things that they do. So this is one of those times that what she says reveals quite a bit about Lisa. So let's continue here. Sorry, friends. Okay, the next part that I'm going to look at is this dialogue that I've put in here, and we're going to look at punctuation for our dialogue. This is, wait, let me take a breath, because there aren't any periods, so I don't know where to stop, and there aren't any commas, so I don't know where to pause, so I'm just going to read it the way that it's written. "Em's so worried they won't have the costume," I cried. "Hurry, let's go to the store," said Mom. She knew it was closing soon. Okay, that is dialogue. I know it because I wrote it, but it doesn't appear to be because there isn't any punctuation in it. So I'm going to go back through with you and I will punctuate it. So when we start out with dialogue, with somebody talking, first thing we're going to do is we're going to indent. We're going to hit the tab button, and I'm just going to put the space bar on this because I'm not sure how the tab is going to work. So you can either use the tab button, or if it doesn't work, just space in a little bit so that you're indenting on your writing. If you're using a pen and pencil, that's easy. Just indent a couple fingers, okay? And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put quotation marks so that you know that there is some talking going on. Those little punctuation marks at the beginning and the end tell the reader somebody's saying this. So that's very important information. Now when we start out, just like we start out with every single sentence, we capitalize. This has an apostrophe because it's I am, and the A is gone, so the apostrophe takes the place of the am, and it's a contraction. I'm so worried, here's another contraction word, they won't have the costume. I cried. Well, this is the end of what she said. I'm so worried they won't have the costume. I cried. I cried is the tag. So right here, she's done talking. So I'm done talking. So I put a comma and an N quotation mark. So the N quotation marks are here. The beginning quotation marks are here. The capital letter, I guess I don't have to show you guys all this because you can see it, is right at the beginning. The quotation marks are here. The end quotation marks are at the end of the speech. So you always put that at the end of what they're saying. Then we're going to, the comma separates the end of the punctuation with the tag. The tag is who's speaking. So when you see an I cried, or she said mom, or said he said, or any of that, that's the tag. That's the little tag that you put, like if you put a tag on something to say how much it's going to be at the store, this is a tag that says who is speaking. So then you're going to, of course, capitalize that I cried. And then that right there is the end of the period. So from the beginning of this whole thing that is highlighted right now, that's the whole sentence, and the part of the sentence that is in quotation marks is the part that was spoken. So, but it's not the end of the sentence until the period at the very end, which is why we have a comma right there. Now, this right here is the end punctuation in the quotation. So sometimes it's a comma because she just said it. Sometimes if it's a question, it gets a question mark. If it's exclaimed, it gets an exclamation mark. And if it's at the very end of the sentence, it gets a period. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Now the next person that's talking, and again we're just going to indent, is here. I'm going to start with my quotation marks, and I'm going to make sure that it lines up with my paragraph above it. Again, I'm going to start with a capital letter. Hurry. And I'm going to pause there. Let's go to the store. Here's a comma, end quotation marks, said mom. And mom is used as a name, so that's going to be capitalized as well. We're going to put a period at the end of that because this is another sentence. She knew it was closing soon. So this is moving our action forward. I'm so worried they won't have the costume, I cried. Hurry, let's go to the store, said mom. She knew it was closing soon. So now that we have the punctuation in here, it's so much easier to read and we understand what we're saying. So I have a little excerpt from a book that is followed this, and you can read the whole book. Here's the quotation marks at the beginning of the sentence. Here's the capital letter. And it says, and I said, oh, you think these are carrots? These are not carrots. These are orange twiglets from Jupiter. At the end of the sentence, like I told you, sometimes we use a comma, question mark, exclamation mark, or a period. This is the end of the sentence, so we put a period there. And then end quotation marks. And then the next part says, they look just like carrots to me. This one has a comma because the end of the sentence is over here after Lola. And then here's the tag, who's speaking, said Lola, with the end punctuation marks. Now, boys and girls, the next page is going to be a link to this book that says, I will never, not ever, eat a tomato. And that's what that little excerpt came from. I would love for you to read this book. Just and when you click on it, you will go right to the link, and you can go to the book. And then I want you to pause it and look at the punctuation. See how they use the punctuation and all of the dialogue in this book. So this is a great example of well-used dialogue. So I hope you enjoy that, and please watch this again if you need to look at how to punctuate your dialogue or how to use your dialogue. Good luck, friends.